it's Brewbird. I'm a Canadian distiller making spirits in England. If you're interested in distilling or the drinks industry, then this is the channel to subscribe to. In this video, I'm attempting, keyword being attempting, to make a Disaronno style Amaretto. So let's go! My boss at the Shakespeare Distillery really likes limoncello and amaretto, so he tasked me with trying to come up with a recipe for both of those drinks. I successfully made a limoncello recipe, and I've linked a video about my process for coming up with that recipe above. Now it was time to tackle an amaretto recipe, but where to begin? Well, what is amaretto anyway? Let's see what Wikipedia says. Amaretto, Italian for a little bitter, is a sweet Italian liqueur that originated in Disaronno. Depending on the brand, it may be made from apricot kernels, bitter almonds, peach stones, or almonds, all of which are natural sources of the benzaldehyde that provides the almond-like flavor of the liqueur. My boss said he really liked Disaronno, so I searched up the ingredients in a Disaronno, and according to the company, their liqueur is an infusion of apricot kernel oil with absolute alcohol, burnt sugar, and the pure essence of 17 selected herbs and fruits. I thought a good place to start would be to get some apricot kernels and do an experiment distilling the kernels, and another macerating the kernels. However, digging a little bit deeper into apricot kernels, it says here that apricot kernels contain the plant toxin amygdalin, which converts to cyanide after eating. Cyanide poisoning can cause nausea, fever, headaches, insomnia, thirst, lethargy, nervousness, joint and muscle aches and pains, and falling blood pressure. In extreme cases, it's fatal. I also read that if you toast the apricot kernels, it will remove some of the amygdalin as it will leach out of the kernel during the toasting process. So for another 2 experiments, I wanted to distill some toasted apricot kernels and macerate some toasted apricot kernels. I asked Simon, my boss, if we should do these 4 experiments, but he was a bit hesitant about using apricot kernels and the potential for cyanide poisoning. So he said that to be on the safe side, we should stick to using regular almonds. So in the end, I did the 4 experiments, but with normal almonds instead. I measured out 60 grams of almonds, and I crushed those almonds gently and distilled them in 500 milliliters of 40% ABV neutral grain spirit. Then I measured out another 60 grams of almonds, crushed them, and macerated them in 500 milliliters of neutral grain spirit. I repeated those 2 experiments, but with roasted almonds that I had roasted in the oven in our cafe for around 20 minutes at 200 degrees Celsius. As I was doing this, I thought to myself, I can't believe the things I get paid to do sometimes. One day I'm getting paid to teach myself how to make limoncello, and the next day I'm roasting almonds in the oven to try and make amaretto. You never know what sorts of things will happen in your life, eh? We did a taste test of these 4 experiments and decided that the distilled roasted almonds had the best flavor. The flavor was more refined on the palate and had a deep roasted almond flavor, whereas the unroasted distilled almonds tasted a bit like boiled almond skins and didn't have the same intense nutty flavor as the distilled roasted almonds did. The macerated almonds were okay. The roasted macerated almonds had a good flavor, but they were a bit harsh at the back during our tasting. We also thought that if we chose to macerate the almonds, then we would need to filter them to remove the almond bits from the liquid, which would add another level to our production process. So we decided it made more sense just to go with the distilled roasted almond spirit as the base for our amaretto. Now that we had an almond-based spirit, I went back to the Disaronno Amaretto and wondered, what could those 17 selected herbs and fruits be? I came up with some fruits and spices based on what I thought would pair well with roasted almonds. I made up a recipe which included glacé cherries, orange peel, prunes, vanilla bean, nutmeg, cinnamon, lemon peel, dried apricots, and allspice berries. Then I did another set of experiments, one where I distilled some roasted almonds with all the other ingredients, and another where I distilled only the roasted almonds and then added in the other ingredients afterwards to macerate with the almonds. Then, to make it more like Disaronno, I made a simple syrup using dark brown sugar by mixing an equal amount of brown sugar with hot water. Then I added 3 teaspoons of this simple syrup to 30 milliliters of my 40% ABV spirit. I also asked Simon to buy me all these natural essences. I have an amaretto one, an orange one, vanilla bean, red cherry, almond, and apricot. So I took the spirit that had the distilled roasted almonds and all the other ingredients, and I put in 1 drop of one essence into each sample. So for instance, this sample here has 30 milliliters of the distilled amaretto spirit, 3 teaspoons of brown sugar simple syrup, and 1 drop of amaretto essence, and so on and so on. We did a taste test of these, so let's hear what Simon and David thought.
What we do know is that I don't like roasted almond smell.
You don't like the smell?
In terms of in an amaretto.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you the smell you want. It doesn't give you a sweet smell, it gives you a toasted smell.
Yeah. And it might give you a nice drink, but it doesn't give you an amaretto drink. Yeah, if you're trying to create an amaretto, I want it to smell like amaretto.
Kernel smell.
But that's what they use.
Yeah, that's why it will smell different because they're using apricot kernels.
I think that's what we need to use them.
At the end of this session, it was decided that the almond base was not the right flavor we were looking for, and that it would make more sense for us to use apricot kernels as our base, since that is what Disaronno uses as their base anyways. I really like the roasted almond liqueur I made, but Simon and David said that because people don't understand what a roasted almond liqueur is, they won't buy it. But people understand what an amaretto is and what it should taste like. So they said that to create a more marketable product, we should aim to make an amaretto that tastes similar to other amarettos out on the market. After this tasting session, I ordered 100 grams of apricot kernels off of Amazon for £6 and made Simon pay for it, obviously. I was going to roast them all to try and remove as much of the amygdalin as possible, and then distill the kernels. But then, disaster struck. I only put the kernels in the oven for 13 minutes, but they got so burnt. Well, that's £5 worth of apricot kernels burnt to a cinder. But on the upside, I don't think we need to worry about the cyanide poisoning anymore. I had 9 grams of apricot kernels that I didn't put in the oven, so I decided to put these in some neutral grain spirit for a couple of days to see what kind of flavor I would get out of them. We did a taste test of the apricot kernel spirit, but it was pretty gross tasting, to be honest. I even tried putting a drop of the amaretto essence in it, but it just made the spirit taste like Play-Doh. Well, I didn't manage to make a Disaronno style amaretto, but I thought the roasted almond liqueur I made was pretty tasty stuff. It's funny though, because when people drink amaretto, they say it tastes like almonds, but when I actually distilled roasted almonds, the taste wasn't quite right. Anyways, I guess we'll have to keep trying. In the meantime, please support the channel by giving this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more distilling and distillery videos. This is Brewbird, sending good vibes your way. I'll see you next time.